two Venezuelan fighter jets actually flew over a U.S. Navy ship as a show of force.
These two F-16 Venezuelan fighter jets flew over the USS Jason Dunham, and the Defense Department, according to multiple officials, essentially confirming this news. Yeah, this was likely in response to that lethal strike that the U.S. took on drug cartels, alleged drug cartel members, killing several individuals.
1 second you're flying a routine patrol, the next a missile lock screams through the F-16's cockpit. Imagine being Viper 71, strapped into a jet pulling 9 Gs, while a heat seeker streaks toward you at twice the speed of sound. The question isn't just, can the pilot survive? It's what happens the instant he does. Because survival isn't the end of the story. It's the trigger for a networked kill chain that changes the battlefield. Would you risk being bait, knowing the whole fleet is waiting on your reaction? Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. A flashing tone cuts through the cockpit. It isn't a harmless sound. It's a kill signal, warning that a missile is airborne and already locked on. In that single buzzing instant, calm skies over the Red Sea transform into a battlefield where survival is measured in seconds.
The Department of Defense calling this a provocative move that was designed to interfere with our counter-narco-terror operations, that statement reads. So we, of course, have heard from the President and the Secretary of State.
Busy day here at the Pentagon, another busy day here at the Pentagon, Chanel. So this, what we're seeing, as Willie pointed out, this is an escalation, and we got that first. We broke that story last night. Then we got the confirmation from the DoD.
A higher level of tensions between the U.S. and Venezuela with this lethal strike that took place earlier in the week, but the U.S. seemingly indicating that they will go after more alleged drug cartel members.
The F-16's warning receiver does its job with ruthless efficiency. One moment the pilot is scanning the horizon, systems humming in a predictable rhythm. The next, the threat alarms throw a spike into his bloodstream. The voice in the headset, the flashing light on the panel, and the angry tone all deliver the same message. You are being hunted right now. Human instinct says run in a straight line, open the throttles, and trust speed to carry you out of danger. But against a radar-guided or heat-seeking missile, that instinct is fatal. Training rewires that impulse. Instead of fleeing, the pilot yanks the jet into violent turns, climbs, dives, and rolls in patterns calculated to confuse the missile's onboard seeker. It is chaos scripted into muscle memory. Every cell in the body screams to fight back in a different way. Adrenaline pushes the arms to stiffen, to lock up and hold the controls steady. Panic shortens breath and narrows thought into little more than the desire to get away. Military survival tactics demand the exact opposite. Calm control at extreme stress, sharp adjustments at precise timing, execution as if the body were a machine itself. Meanwhile, the missile is not a slow predator. Think of it as a spear racing ahead at twice the speed of sound, slicing through the air with no hesitation. The F-16 responds with raw muscle in the form of its afterburner, the pilot slamming the throttle past the detent. Flame pours out of the tail like a blowtorch, pushing the fighter harder into a sky that now feels far too small. But there is a cost to that speed and maneuvering. The G-forces crush the pilot into his seat. At 9 times gravity, every movement becomes slow and heavy. Blood drains from the head, leaving the brain hungry for oxygen. Vision tightens into a tunnel bordered with black.
The Pentagon loves the word operation, but they haven't really named what this is, what this mission is. We don't know the details about that strike, that lethal strike on that boat carrying drugs and drug smugglers. More questions will be raised about exactly what this is.
And Charlie, speaking of the president, President Trump, we know now seeking to rename the Department of Defense as the Department of War. Why?
Conflict. Is it an anti-drug or anti-narco-terrorist operation? Is it a sort of undeclared declaration of war against Venezuela? Or is there an idea of regime change?
Somewhere deep inside, a struggle begins, not just against the missile, but against his own fading consciousness. Though the body suffers, the workload multiplies. Hands grip the stick with precision, making small but sharp deflections to redirect the jet. Eyes dart across sensors, confirming altitude, range, and threat direction. The mind runs parallel streams of calculation: where the missile is now, how long until impact if it doesn't break off, and when to trigger countermeasures. That's when the pilot presses the switch that ejects bright burning flares and shreds of metallic chaff into the slipstream. The flares glow hot, brighter than the jet's exhaust, drawing the attention of infrared seekers that thirst for heat. The chaff spreads into a cloud of false signals, tricking radar-guided threats into thinking the target has split into multiple pieces. For the missile, the picture blurs. What was once a clear path to a single engine plume is replaced with confusion in the sky. The payoff comes in silence. The seeker loses its lock, drifts off course, and the missile streaks away into nothing. The pilot doesn't have time to celebrate. He doesn't even have the breath to say much over the radio, but the moment is proof. Even the deadliest weapon can be beaten when human grit, engineered defense, and combat discipline strike together at the exact second they're needed. Yet this was no private duel between one pilot and one missile. His evasive maneuver did more than save a single jet. The wild corkscrew of his F-16, the sudden burst of flares, and the shift from straight flight into defensive maneuvers, all of that was seen, logged, and transmitted. It became a sign. In the coded logic of the fleet, survival wasn't just lucky, it was a signal. That brake turn under 9 Gs marked the opening command for an entire formation waiting just beyond the horizon. Survival in the cockpit is not closure. It's the first act in a larger war where one man's escape is more than luck. It's a coded order for ships, aircraft, and guns on standby. His evasive brake turn doesn't just save him, it awakens the fleet's full response, unleashing a chain of moves only possible in a networked fight. This is why we study these moments, not for the spectacle, but for the system. Subscribe and join a community that examines the real mechanics of combat and the human edge in modern warfare. What would you do strapped in at 9 Gs with a missile screaming toward you? Comment your choice below.